Hello BookTube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Juan. I am just one reader, your favorite Mexican booktuber who reads in English. Last night, I finished reading The Scapegoat by Daphne Du Maurier, and this whole reading experience really made me think about the author Daphne Du Maurier, because she's an author that I've always claimed to be one of my favorite writers. Whenever people ask me, oh, so you really love reading, give me some recommendations, or some of your favorite authors or books, I always include Daphne Du Maurier in that list of some of my favorite writers because she really has so many ingredients that I love and that I am actively looking forward to in reading experiences in general. I love Daphne Du Maurier. Actually, I am a psychoanalyst. I'm a trained psychoanalyst. And in order to become a certified psychoanalyst in the society where I trained to be a psychoanalyst, you have to write a kind of dissertation paper, usually on someone in the arts, someone like a writer or some kind of artist, or someone that you can really explore and investigate and dig as deep as you can into their lives and their work to sort of understand their life and their work from a psychoanalytical point of view. And that's a really important paper that you write in order to become a real certified psychoanalyst. And I chose Daphne Du Maurier. I haven't read everything that Daphne Du Maurier has published. It's not necessary to read everything that the author in question has written. Just, you need to have a big enough sample of her understanding of her work. You know what I mean? So I have read my fair share of Du Maurier, and the books that I've read many times. Like, for example, Rebecca, I've read 1,000 times. And I don't consider myself an expert or a specialist on Daphne Du Maurier, but I do consider that the experience of writing my dissertation psychoanalytical paper about her sort of gives me some footing, as some interesting, important background knowledge, like baggage, from which to speak today. By the way, if you are interested in finding more about Daphne Du Maurier's life and work and how her work is heavily influenced by her own struggles and inner conflicts, I heavily suggest that you read this book, which is Daphne Du Maurier, The Secret Life of the Renowned Storyteller by Margaret Forster. This is a Daphne Du Maurier biography that I think is really, really good. I decided to make this short video today after finishing The Scapegoat. This is a novel that I had of Daphne's that I hadn't really read before. And I decided I wanted to read it and just, hopefully enjoy it. And I have to say, this book really made me open my eyes and realize that as much as I love Daphne Du Maurier, as much as I love some elements of her writing, like some of the ingredients in her baking, in her recipes, that doesn't mean to say that I completely love what she's doing. Case in point, The Scapegoat. This is one of the perfect examples that I can think of to showcase or exemplify my quibbles, my ambivalence, my confusion, and my frustration at Daphne Du Maurier's writing, because on paper, this should have been a great book for me. This should be one of my favorite books ever. It was not. I actually gave this book 3 stars, which is kind of lukewarm in my opinion. It's by no means a bad book, but it wasn't an enjoyable experience personally either. Let me tell you why. Some of the key, and this is why I wanted to make this video, to talk more broadly about Daphne Du Maurier and the little ingredients that you find in most of her books, or at least the ones that I've read, which are the most popular ones, I believe. I think the only one that I've yet to read, which is really big, is Frenchman's Creek. So I'm reading that probably soon, sometime this year or next year. But let me tell you about the books that I have read and loved about her, and the ones that I've been sort of lukewarm on, and we'll talk about the ingredients that make up, in my opinion, her writing style and her signature moves, if you will, and why I think my relationship with her is so ambivalent and frustrating. So, let me start by telling you my favorite two books that I've read by Daphne Du Maurier by far. My favorite one is actually the short story collection The Birds. I love this collection. I actually think I enjoy her writing more in a short story format. For some reason, I just think it's perfectly suited to a short story format, which is kind of a bummer since she wrote more novels than she did short stories, although there are some short story collections. But I love The Birds. I just adore the gothic, really creepy, romantic, lush, extravagant way that she has of capturing mood and atmosphere. This collection is extremely haunting, extremely anxiety inducing, and it deals with mourning and loss and like real anguish, and it's creepy. Some of the stories have a weird supernatural element going on. It's one of my favorite books of all time. The second book that I really, really love about from Daphne Du Maurier, my favorite novel by the author, is My Cousin Rachel. I know that there's a film adaptation of this. I haven't seen that. But the book is so delicious. Again, it's creepy, it's moody, it's atmospheric, but also the way that she writes character and the way that she really plays expertly with point of view, and how she really puts you in the mind, like inside of the character. It's an amazing understanding and introspection of the character's psychology. My Cousin Rachel is great. It's, in my opinion, much better than the next book that I love by her, which is Rebecca. Rebecca is, of course, the Daphne Du Maurier book by excellence. You know, this is the Daphne Du Maurier book, and oh my God, this book is so incredibly highlighted and annotated, because this is a book that really I used as my primary source for my psychoanalytical dissertation paper. I basically wrote about Daphne Du Maurier's life and how most of her psychological issues are reflected in the character, and not just the character, but the entirety of the novel Rebecca. So I've read this book many times, and here, I think I start to see some imperfections, or rather some of the flaws that I think make my relationship with her so frustrating. For example, sidebar. A few years ago, I made a video that I will try to link down below because I really enjoyed making it, with Jason from the channel Old Blues Chapter and Verse. And we discussed Rebecca, the book, and the movie, which is one of the great Alfred Hitchcock movies. And we were talking about this book, and I was really defending, or trying to defend, Rebecca and Daphne Du Maurier, whereas Jason was really critical of her writing style. I think this was Jason's first encounter with the author, and he was right. He was noticing many of the flaws that I now have come to terms with. I think this is my biggest flaw, or my biggest complaint with Daphne Du Maurier's writing style. The writing style, which is also her biggest asset and my biggest draw, which is weird because, you know, the thing that I love the most about her is also the thing that makes me cringe sometimes, and not just cringe, but really feel bored and irritated by some of her books. Her writing style in Rebecca starts to feel, in my opinion, and I agree with Jason, starts to feel very flowery, sometimes for really good reasons, but sometimes it's just pompous and it feels like unnecessary and overblown and just, yeah, there's no point. Sometimes it's serviceable to the atmosphere, which is, the thing that I love about Du Maurier's style. It's so gothic and lush and vibrant and creepy and gothic and dark, but also romantic, and that's achieved through description and the writing style. So that's my biggest draw, but it's also my biggest complaint, because when it's not in service to those great things, it just becomes like muddy. It becomes dirty. Like, yeah, it's not clean. So yeah, that's Rebecca. And then the other four books, like four novels that I have read by her, I've been sort of lukewarm about. The Scapegoat is the story of two men who are physically identical and they swap lives. It's a fun premise. It's a fun story. The plot is actually very good. It's very melodramatic. It's very kind of silly in terms of how unbelievable it is, but it is a good story. However, I didn't really enjoy the ride, the experience of reading it, because the writing style and how she talks about legal, financial stuff sometimes just dragged everything down for me. And I was like, oh man, I really wish this book had been half its size and just much cleaner. Like, I really wanted the writing style to be much cleaner and leaner and tighter. So yeah, this one was a 3-star for me. The Parasites was better than the Scapegoat, in my opinion, because it's more, yeah, it's cleaner in terms of it follows the dynamic between these three, I think, siblings and their very interesting pasts, and their lives as children with this really weird parents. And it's, in terms of character, I really liked it, but again, this should have been shorter and leaner and cleaner and tighter. So this is, again, 3 stars. Then we have The House on the Strand with this beautiful cover. Again, this has a great premise. It's sort of science fiction. It's kind of like My Cousin Rachel and Rebecca, but with a science fiction element. It's kind of kooky and fun and weird, and I love that an author that we consider to be almost classical and elegant played with really like elements of genre like science fiction and fantasy. I really like that she went there to that interesting place. However, again, it was too long, it was overblown, the writing style was sometimes way too over the top. And again, 3 stars for that. And the same is true for Jamaica Inn. Jamaica Inn is much more, I think it's filled with dread and anguish. I would like to read this book a second time just to give it another go, because I think this is a very interesting book. Plays with character, plays with the setting. It's an amazing setting, and you really feel anxious. You feel the dread and the gloominess of everything that's happening to the character through the writing style. However, again, for some reason, I just felt like there were some chapters that really dragged everything down. And so I would say this is like a 3.5-star book. I am willing to read it again and give it another go and see if I like it more on a second visit, but who knows. So those are the books that I've read by her. The 2 collections that I've yet to read that I own are Don't Look Now and The Doll. These are short story collections. And like I said, I think I personally really click with Daphne and her writing style in a short story format. So this will probably be much more to my liking. But yeah, I mean, reading this and reading The Scapegoat and making this video really have made me reflect on my personal preferences as a reader, because that's what it's all about. I mean, being a reader is not about objectivity. It's not about you know, declaring like, oh, this is a good book, this is a bad book, star ratings. You know, I don't like that objective side of things. For me personally, being a reader is more like a personal journey where you really have to understand what makes you tick, what makes you cringe, what makes you bored, what makes you happy, and what are your preferences. And yeah, I think I am a reader ultimately that really cares about the writing style. Like I said, Daphne Du Maurier is the perfect example. She's an author whose writing style can be my favorite thing, my favorite ingredient that she brings to the table, but it can also be the biggest downside or downfall for me personally, because I really care about writing style. I care about character, but you know, characterization is not my most important element when reading a book. Same goes for plot, same goes for the setting, same goes for theme. I really, really care about the writing style. Therefore, I have a very ambivalent relationship with Du Maurier, because when she writes cleanly and, you know, like really tight, compact pieces of work where you don't feel like she's just overblowing everything and just, you know, throwing adverbs and adjectives and so many unnecessary descriptions and so many unnecessary metaphors for describing whatever, which, you know, it can be so grating and so frustrating. Anyway, I also wanted to make this video because I started reading two books this morning that really made me think, yeah, this is the kind of writing that I love. And they are very different books, but they both do great lean writing. One of them is The Crowfolk by Mark Stay. This is like a YA fantasy novel. He's actually on YouTube, so you can go and look him up, Mark Stay. I love how great this writing is. It's a YA novel, but the writing is so perfect, so precise, so like it's perfect. And then the other book that I am reading right now is All the Birds Singing by Evie Wyld. This is a very different novel. It's kind of a creepy, weird book, sort of reminiscent of the Banshees of Inisherin. In a way, it's weird. It's a weird book, but the writing immediately made me think, wow, the writing is clean, but it's also alive, and it's so perfect. Like every single word on the page is perfectly selected to be effective, you know? And then another book that I want to recommend to all of you watching, it's a book that I'm always recommending when people ask me about my favorite authors and about my favorite books. Well, this is one of them. 10th of December by George Saunders, another short story collection. George Saunders is one of the best writers, like word to word, sentence by sentence, paragraph by paragraph, one of the best writers that I have ever read. And this is my favorite book of his that I've read. Every single word and quotation mark in this book is perfectly precise and necessary, and the writing is glorious. I mean, this is probably, in my opinion, if you ask me, this is the best written book that I've read, just because of the careful, precision, like minimalistic approach that he has to the writing itself. And it's magnificent. It's insanely good. Anyway, those are some of my thoughts on Daphne Du Maurier. I don't know if people agree with me or not. I don't know if it's correct or even allowed to say negative stuff about Daphne Du Maurier on BookTube, because for some people, for some reason, people love her. And, you know, to some people, Daphne is like a saint-like figure. And I get that. I love her. I love her so much that I spent a year of my life investigating her, reading about her, and writing a paper, a really chunky paper, psychoanalytically about her. So I love her, but that doesn't deny that there's a frustration, ambivalence, confusion about her writing style. Anyway, I would love to know what you think. If you have read some of her books, if you love her, if you hate her, I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching. I know this video is way too long, but I really wanted to make a video talking about this author. Thanks for watching. I am just one reader, and I will see you on the next video.